Well, just how much force should it take to keep the peace? That was the topic of discussion at a big legal convention in San Francisco today. One prominent public defender tells our John Ramos the city is turning into a war zone.
At the American Bar Association's conference in San Francisco this morning, those who practice law met to discuss the tactics of those who enforce it.
Sometimes peace is purchased with violence.
The documentary Peace Officer features the story of former Utah Sheriff William Lawrence, whose son-in-law was shot and killed by a police SWAT team called to a domestic violence dispute.
His body was completely mutilated, unnecessarily. There is no excuse for that kind of law enforcement, ever.
Lawrence believes the so-called war on drugs of the 1980s was used to justify a more militaristic approach to law enforcement. Now it is common for police departments to outfit their officers with military-grade automatic weapons and armored vehicles.
When you have that kind of firepower, you're going to use it.
A frequent critic of law enforcement, San Francisco's public defender Jeff Adachi says peaceful protests are now met with hundreds of officers in riot gear. And he says the fatal police shooting of Mario Woods in San Francisco is evidence of a war zone mentality.
When that becomes a response, when your first response becomes, we're going to use the maximum amount of force necessary, then we've got a problem, because that's not the role of police in our society.
We are abusing the power and authority that's given to us when we act that way.
Everyone agrees that police officers need to be able to protect themselves. But today's panelists say they've taken it too far, and that gearing up for war can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. In San Francisco, John Ramos, KPIX 5.
Now, the public defender says the federal government has spent $34 billion supplying military-style equipment to local police departments.